Hello, Blue Valley. This is Mr. Hume. I'm the librarian at Blue Valley Middle School, and I am here to do another First Chapter Friday for you. And the book I'm going to do for you today is a book that's kind of an unusual one, kind of a cross between a science fiction and a coming-of-age book, and that is a book called The Truth About Martians. So this was one of our tag books a year ago, so it's one that was thought highly of, and hopefully it's one that you will enjoy. So let me get the first chapter for you. Chapter 1, The Crash, July 4th, 1947, 11:53 p.m. In a fiery blaze, that's how they show themselves for the very first time. It's not like a Martian invasion is the first thing I think of when I see it, because I'm not crazy. But it's definitely the second. Not because I'm crazy, though. It's because that's exactly how Superman arrived, in a fiery blaze. His parents, Jor-El and Lara, sent him to Earth in a little space vessel to escape the annihilation of the planet Krypton. You could say I'm sort of a Superman expert. Well, both me and my best friend Dibs are, except he's got this weird obsession with Martians, too. Mostly the Planet Comics series. It's his favorite, even over Superman. Because it's all he talks about some days. Martians this, and Martians that. It's hard not to think of them even when you're trying not to, because he's always jabbering on about them. Whatever it is that I'm seeing now streaks a blaze of fire through the black thrashing thunderclouds on the hottest night of the summer in the middle of a monsoon, and turns a small town of Corona, New Mexico into a real-life comic book. The only difference is that no one's shouting, "This looks like a job for Superman," and Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, is a no-show. It's just me, Milo Affinito. And I'm no superhero, not even close. Neither is Dibs, who sleeps through the whole darn thing. "Dibs," I whisper, "you see that?" He's sawing logs and sucking his middle knuckle. "Dibs, that kid wouldn't wake up if a vessel landed on the roof and Superman himself stepped out and started dancing a jig to the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy." Downstairs, the baby is too busy crying and Mama too busy rocking and hushing in the creaky chair to notice any difference between that fiery flash of light and plain old lightning. But I do. I mean, I think I do. It just happens so fast. Baby K doesn't like summer monsoons, especially the loud ones, the ones that crash and crack and light up the nighttime sky in an angry battle of cloudy wills. I think maybe in her tiny brain she thinks if she wails the loudest, she'll win and send all that clapping thunderclouds running. At least that's what it seems like, because she can howl real good sometimes. It's when the brilliant flash of light dashes a second time across the bedroom ceiling from one corner to the other in less than one blink that I sit up straight. It's a flash so bright and so fast that it makes me wonder if I really saw anything at all. Dibs and I are in my bed, lying toes to nose, sweating under a single white sheet, even though there's another perfectly good bed sitting on the other side of the night table, which he reminds me of just about every single time he sleeps over, and that's a lot of nights since his mama left. The bed on the other side of the night table with the blue quilt pulled straight and tight stays empty, though. Empty for another year, 1 month and 8 days. I look down at Dibs, watching him saw logs loud and steady, his mouth wide open now, sucking air in and out like the sky hasn't just caught fire for a moment, his face peaceful and totally unaware of his impending doom, a dirty foot-in-the-face alarm clock. And since he doesn't see it coming, I get him real good, too, this time with my toes rubbed right up under his nose. He sits straight up. "Oh, that's just foul," he cries. "How could you sleep through all that?" I whisper. "Through what?" He holds his hand up to his nose. "Don't you ever wash them things?" "You only missed the whole darn thing," I tell him. "The scum under your toenails," he sticks his pointer finger inside his left nose hole, knuckle deep. "Seen it and smelt it too. You shoved your pinky toe in, you know, in." I stretch my neck to get a better look out the window as Grammy Hidalgo's old lace curtains billow in the wind like two white ghosts scrambling in from the rain. Mommy and Daddy took over Granny and Pappy Hidalgo's ranch 5 years ago after Pappy Hidalgo died. Daddy left the Air Force Base and we moved to New Mexico from the Bronx where he grew up. I was 6 and Obi was 8 and Baby K wasn't even born yet, but I hardly remember life before Corona. It was like the sky turned into daytime and back to night again in a single blink, I whispered down to Dibs. He's not even listening to me, holding one nose hole closed and snuffing in and out of the other. I hope you're happy, because that funk is probably stuck up my nose hairs for life. Dibs, I sat up. I'm trying to tell you something important here. About the light? Yeah, I say. He hoists himself up on one pointy elbow and holds his head in his hand, blinking at me. What's the big deal about lightning? That's not what I'm trying to tell you, I say. I don't think that's what it was. At least it didn't look like lightning. It looked like the sky caught fire or something. So, lightning. I told you it wasn't, didn't I? He yawns a long, bored yawn. If it wasn't lightning, then what was it, he asked. That's the question, I tell him. He clicks his tongue at me, rolls his eyes real big, and flops back down on the bed. Good night, he tells me, sliding a fat pillow with a yellowing case over his head. If I get another toe in the snoot, you're going to get this knuckle sandwich right in the kisser. He pushes a single skinny Duke out from under the pillow. I snort at that one to hear his muffled giggle against the mattress. That's because we both know well that his sandwiches couldn't make a dent in anyone's kisser, knuckle or otherwise. He's a skeleton with a skin still on, and he knows it too. And then another fiery streak lights up the room, this time with a whooshing noise that sounds like it's blowing by the green shutters clear off the windows as it blazes on by. I know he sees something this time too, because his head pops straight up from underneath the pillow. Baby Kay howls her loudest wail yet, and I rush to the window, clinging to the wet sill with the wild eyes peering out of the blackness. Sloppy raindrops soak the cows soggy out in the field and pummel the roof of the front porch and the barn too. Small lakes form in the dirt drive, and large drops drench the chicken coop and Daddy's tractor parked out front. What is it? Dibs asked, holding the sheet tight under his chin like a threadbare protective shield. What do you see out there? Is it Martians? It is, isn't it? Martians Landing to take over the planet, just like a real-life War of the Worlds. It is, isn't it? Why don't you come over here and look for yourself, I say. I'm not going anywhere until I know for sure there isn't any Martian out there waiting to beam me up to the mothership, he says. You check first. I'm not your Martian checker. You know they'll harvest your brains right at your ears as soon as they look at you, he goes. That's how they are. I blow air out of my mouth. You read way too many comic books, I say. On The Whistler last week, he goes on, they had a whole episode about this guy who was abducted by Martians, and they probed his brain, and he became a mindless, soulless shell of a human to further the Martian agenda here on Earth, and no one even knew it because he kept his same human form. I scoffed. Probed his brain? He looked at me real serious. Yep, Martian mind control. I shake my head at him. He keeps on anyway, just like he does when he blabs on with his Martian stories. Maybe they're already probed him and we don't know it because they already took our brains for experimentation and they're gone now, he says. I turn to face him. Maybe yours is, I smile. He smiles back with a big beaver tooth that don't all fit in his mouth. Well, they do tend to prefer geniuses. He puts his chin in the air and puffs his skinny chest out. Will you stop being a chicken and just get over here already? I order, pointing at the floor next to me. He sighs heavy and slides his leathery bare foot across the worn floorboards until he's kneeling on his knobby knees right beside me. His feet are tougher than the finest leathers in all the land on account he never wears boots. He says they pinch his toes, and I think it's really because he doesn't have ones that fit him right. Not since his mama left him and Mr. Butte 2 summers ago. We stare out the window together, leaning against the sill, chins resting on our forearms, waiting. Mist from the heavy drops sprays into our eyes and sprinkles our skin, cooling us from the sweltering night. The rusted-up tin windmill out past the chicken coop gripes a high-pitched metal wail, complaining to the wind for pushing it around. My heartbeat pounds in my ears, and Dib's heavy breaths are short and fast, going in and out of his bony chest. Maybe it was just a ghostly spirit from an HE double hockey sticks, he finally whispers after a good long while. I heard this story one time about an evil demon stuck in purgatory, blasted right out and snatched this kid down in Albuquerque, and they never seen him again, not ever. Stole his soul right out from under him. You know, something like that's got to be true. People don't make that stuff up. You believe in ghosts, Milo? I shrug. Depends, I say. How about Martians, he asked. You believe in them? This time I don't answer. Things to know about Dibson Tiberius Butte. The only things bigger than his tall tails are the beaver tooth in his ears. His toes stink way worse than mine, no matter what he says. And 3, he's my very best friend in the whole entire universe. We wait. Thunder rolls. Lightning flashes. Downstairs, Baby K is finally quieting, and the creaking of Mama's chair slows some. And then in a single second comes the loudest thunderclap I've ever heard. It shakes the earth and shatters the desert silence. It's a clap so loud it sounds like it cracked a million-mile crater deep in the center of the whole wide world. And that's when we see a colossal explosion out in the direction of Foster Ranch. The blast sprays brilliant bits of fire out in a dazzling burst of light towards the heavens. When I see all that, I duck under the windowsill and Dib scrambles for cover in the bed under the safety of his sweaty white shield. "Did you see that?" he said from behind his cotton armor. "Did you?" "Yeah," I say, peeking back over the sill. "That," Dibs pointed a single skinny finger out from under the sheet, "wasn't lightning." I roll my eyes at him. "Didn't I tell you so?" I watched in amazement as the explosion turns to small specks of light spraying back towards the earth. It's like the fireworks display we saw tonight at the 4th of July parade in town, but instead of bits of light bursting up high and then falling down, the explosion happens on the ground and shoots straight up into a blazing bouquet. "Think it's Martians?" Dibs peeks out one eye. "No," I say, "it has to be something else, maybe something just goofing off with leftover fireworks." "Firecrackers," he gives me a look. "Are you kidding me?" A cow out in the nearby pasture moans. Another one answers her. "Even the cows are talking about it," Dibs tells me. I watched the lights in silence for a long while, seeing the fiery bits burn out in slow motion towards the ground until almost all dark again. "One of us better go and check things out," Dibs says, "and when you do, make sure and tell them you come in peace." I snort again and pointed thumb out towards the field. "You're off your rocker if you think I'm going out there," I inform him. "Well, I'm sure not going to do it." I watch the light storm until each of the fiery flickers goes mostly all dark, and the desert and the ranch and the fields around us all grow quiet again. Too quiet. Even the sleepy drops have stopped shearing the grasses and filling the puddles in the muddy drive. The cows have given up and gone back to sleep, and Mama has shushed and rocked just enough until both the sky and the baby have settled. All the lights have finally flickered out, except one. But it isn't just any light. It's green. One single green beam. My fingers stay glued on the rain-soaked sill, and I stare out the window, unable to breathe or move or speak, watching as the far-off green light glows dim and then bright and then dim and then bright, like an eyeball blinking at me. Watching me like I'm watching it. Dib slides his leathery foot across the floorboards again until I feel him standing right behind me. "Will you look at that?" he whispers. "That's a Martian ship, sure as I'm standing here." "You don't know that," I tell him. "We're more likely under attack from the Russians than men from Mars." I wipe a mixture of sloppy mist and sweat off my chin with the back of my hand, and finally let in the air I didn't realize my lungs was aching for. Outside the window, it smells like wet grass and smoke and something burned up real bad. "Don't even try and tell me that you're not thinking the very same thing, Milo, because I know you too well," Dib says. "Look at that thing out there." Our stares stay fixed on the blinking green eyeball, glowing dim and then bright, dim and then bright. "There has to be an explanation for it," I whisper in the darkness. "Maybe a meteorite or an asteroid?" "Krypton burns like a green star in the endless heavens," Dibs says in an announcer voice just like the narrator from the Adventures of Superman program that we listened to on the radio in the evening after supper. As he slides his bare feet back to the bed, I stay stuck on the sill, my head resting on my arm, watching the sky. Bright stars push and peek their way out between the dark, swirling storm clouds as the monsoon blows its way east, and I wonder which star it is yours. "Obi," I whisper to the night, "do you see it too?" End of chapter 1. So that's a good start to our interesting book, The Truth About Martians. If that caught your attention at all, this is available at your library. Just make a hold request and we will get it ready for you, and you can pick it up and take it home and read it yourself. Thank you for listening. See you soon.